Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning, Ayuba. And as usual, it's always a delight to be here. Good morning, Nigerians, and thank you for welcoming us into your homes this morning. My name is Stella Iyaji.
Yes, and this is where we bring you all the analysis and perspectives to different issues of national concern. So we begin with the headlines this morning. FG suspends 5% tax on calls and data.
Fresh fuel scarcity looms in North as Ipman begins warning strike.
OPEC agrees on oil output cut.
Now let's take a look at the details. The federal government has suspended the proposed excise duty on telecommunication services. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Issa Pantami announced during the inaugural meeting of the Presidential Committee on Excise Duty for the Digital Economy sector. The program was held in Abuja on Monday. Pantami had kicked against the implementation of the tax, which he described as an overburden for the telecommunications sector. He had said the National Assembly members were not consulted. Pantami also said he personally rejected the policy and advised President Muhammadu Buhari against it in view of the effect it will have on the digital economy.
Now, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, in 9 northern states has embarked on 3 days withdrawal of services at depots as warning strike over non-payment of their bridging claims amounting to 70 billion naira. Addressing a press conference on Monday in Maiduguri, the spokesman for the IPMAN in Borno, Abdulkadir Mustafa, said that the non-payment is inflicting untold hardship to their teaming members. Hence, they have resolved to meet to the meeting held in Kano State to withdraw their services at the depots for 3 days. Mustafa threatened that failure of authorities to respond and pay all their unsettled claims will result in indefinite strike and shutting down of all filling stations. He appealed to the federal government to intervene by prevailing on NMDPRA to pay all outstanding claims, to avert indefinite strike, which may affect fuel distribution across the northern region. The 9 states with the NNPC limited depots include Borno, Adamawa, Kano, Kaduna, Benue, Plateau, Gombe, Niger, and Sokoto.
Now, the OPEC Plus oil cartel agreed on Monday to cut production for the first time in more than a year as it seeks to lift prices that have tumbled due to recession fears. The move could argue the United States that it has pressed the group to increase output in order to bring down energy prices that have fueled decades-high inflation. OPEC Plus, a 23-nation coalition led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, had agreed to huge cuts in output in 2020 when the COVID pandemic sent oil prices crashing, but it began to increase production modestly again last year as the market improved. Oil prices soared to almost $140 per barrel in March after Russia invaded Ukraine, but they have since receded below $100 per barrel, and recession fears, COVID lockdowns in major consumer, China and Iran nuclear talks that could bring Iranian crude back into the market.
Now, let's take a look at some packages now. The federal government on Monday assured Nigerians that the worst of the insecurity that has been plaguing the nation is over, as security agencies are now on the trail of terrorist element on the run. Speaking at a joint news conference, frontline ministers in security sector told journalists that substantial progress has been made and in the last couple of days in restoring normalcy at various fronts across the country. Shafiu Suleiman has more on this.
Setting the stage for the conference in what appears blowing the government trumpet, Minister of Information Lai Mohammed says security agencies have taken seriously the recent directives by President Muhammadu Buhari on the need to speak to the terrorists in the language they understand.
Some said the security challenges have overwhelmed the military, but the military has now demonstrated that no group of ragtag criminals can ever overwhelm them. Terrorists and bandits and co can run but cannot hide. And this has been demonstrated by the arrest of those who attacked the church in London. These criminals can run but cannot hide, as we have seen the decimation and neutralization of the cowards who ambushed the brigade of guards troops in Abuja.
And the result, according to the ministers, is assuring of the safety and security of Nigerians.
The strengths of operational successes recorded by the armed forces of Nigeria in the Northeast have thus continued from January through August 2022. The exhalations of the troops of Operation Hard and K of research by well-meaning individuals as well as reputable internal and international bodies attest to the far-reaching military achievements recorded in the Northeast.
We took Niger from North Central State, where 40 suspects were arrested. They were arrested for kidnapping, banditry, and other criminalities. 500 cattle were also recovered. 71 handsets were recovered. On July 9th, 2022, police operatives from patrol around Bakaso area of Suleja arrested a Kojeka Solar Center SKP.
We shall continue to protect the lives and property of Nigerians and foreigners in our midst. We shall continue to work for the peace of the nation and deter elements that constitute threats to the people. We shall bear the full powers of the government to secure every inch of our land. We shall not rest until peace is fully restored to Nigeria.
But the recent move is coming on the heels of devastating attacks and killings, including displacements of thousands of Nigerians by insurgents, bandits, kidnappers, violent separatists, and other sundry criminals terrorizing the country and undermining its economic growth and stability. Shabiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, some residents of the FCT have expressed mixed feelings over the claim that the worst of security is over, calling on the government not to pay lip service to the issue.
Secure that I'm not very comfortable talking to a stranger. Insecurity persists because government's hand is in the insecurity of this country. Government appears not to be serious, not to be serious about tackling the problem. So as it is now, security of this country is not in the hands of anybody, but in the hands of God only.
The insecurity is as if the personnel are not working. Let me just put it that way, as if they are not working. Really, if they really want to do the job, within 24 hours, everything that is happening within the country will be shut down.
Well, I've understanding here that the environment for Abuja here, some places, there is insecurity. As for here, there is a security tight. About insecurity in this environment, we will not have problem much. But some other areas, there is a lot of problem in insecurity.
I'm not secured, like seriously, I'm not secured. I'm not secure. Even when you are sleeping in your house, anything can happen. If any good Nigerian should tell you this is a reality of something that we are seeing and we are hearing. Even the federal government themselves, they can vividly, boldly tell you that yes, themselves, they are not free from the mess that every citizen is passing through.
Well, Nigerians, of course, expressing their views as to what's happening as far as security concern is in Nigeria. I would say good enough that we are having all the ministers and, the service chiefs that are responsible for the security of the country gathering together to kind of reassure Nigerians about the security in the country. And quite a lot of updates were given as regards the various arms. I would say the defense gave its own updates, the Nigerian police and the rest of them. You could hear the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aragbeshola, talking about the Kuje outbreak and also some other measures. All the other agencies that are under him, the fire service, you know, and the other paramilitary institutions that we have in the country. The Minister of Police Affairs also giving an update on the police recruitment, although he didn't talk about the controversy, you know, between himself. But again, what's important is about the fact that we need to do that massive recruitment, the 10,000 personnel directive given by the president, and we're seeing that that is ongoing. He's given assurance that
he gave assurance that
this year we would see more. The Minister of Defense talking about the various operations embarked upon by the military in the northeast and the other part of the country, the south.
You know, Ayuba, I think that for a long time, that press conference is maybe one of the most assuring conferences that we have had in a long time, where all four of them came to talk to the country and to say that, look, we are almost there. You know, when I went through the story, they were saying that all the little, that the worst is over, which is, you know, I mean,
the focus of the whole thing.
Yes, that the worst is over, and they are promising December as the end to the stuff. And they also said that the fact that we are seeing attacks here and there, it's not surprising that Nigerians should not be surprised that these attacks are there. That the fact that they have said that they are going to end it in December does not mean that Nigerians will not witness some of these things. So I think it's reassuring.
Yeah, the thing is that there's a very thin line in trying to really say, you know, as a result of these pockets of attacks, do we then really say that we are safe? I mean, there may be pockets of attacks, but the question, I believe, in the minds of many Nigerians is, with the pockets of attacks, do we really then say that we are safe in the country? Because at the end of the day, is to ensure that people are not having to pay money for their freedom. At the end of the day, it's about making sure that people are not harassed and, you know, arrested, and abducted and then killed.
Yes, and even the pockets of attacks are brought to the barest minimum.
Exactly. That, you know, so how do we now determine pockets of attacks?
Yeah.
Is it when it happens once in a week? Is it when it happens once in 2 weeks or once in a month? How do we determine pockets of attacks? So that's, I think that and another dimension to the whole discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In any case, we'll continue to bring you all the updates and as they unfold right here. Now, we will be taking a look at the next report here, where donkeys, you know, are a popular and cheap means of transportation in northern Nigeria's rural farming communities. But in recent times, the price of donkeys has shot up amid growing demand for the animals, which is now used as food, as buyers from southern Nigeria are transporting the animals home for consumption. Our correspondent Idris Jibrin, who visited Maigatari International Cattle Market in Jigawa State, reports that thousands are benefiting from donkey trade in the market. We'll take a look at that report now.
Many years back, donkeys are used to transport mostly agricultural produce from rural farming communities to the market in cities and towns across northern Nigeria. But that is changing, as cows are gradually replacing it because the animal is now consumed as food. Here in Nigeria, we take it to the southern part of the country, where it's being consumed as food. Its business is now booming here in Maigatari International Cattle Market, where over 40,000 people said to be directly or indirectly involved in the trade. Those who are benefiting from this donkey trade here in Maigatari, Gumel and Jigawa State in general are more than 50,000 doing the business of donkey alone. In Maigatari International Cattle Market, a big size of donkey now sells for 60,000 naira as against 20,000 naira some years back, while medium size attract as much as 30,000 naira as against old price of 10,000 naira, largely due to increase in the demand of the animals. Brought here from Niger Republic, Sudan, and some other African countries, an estimated 5,000 donkeys leave the Megatari market to the south every day, effectively creating jobs and generating revenue for the locals.
Roughly, we do collect about 4 to 5 million monthly, and our chairman is using the money to run the local communities.
Despite growing agitation to legislate against the sale of these animals, traders believe that a more permanent approach to sustain their business is indeed needed, considering the number of people benefiting from the trade.
I am urging our lawmakers, whom we elected to represent us, to stop considering the issue of stopping our business. Instead, they should make a law by which we can breed more donkeys so that our business will grow further.
Although providing income for many, but expert believes that unless something is done, the last remaining donkeys population as animals may soon disappear across the country. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
Thank you, Idris, for that report. Ayuba, have you had donkey meat before?
Not exactly. It's
But
not
you're
something
looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to, really. Yeah, I don't know. It's not something that I'm really looking forward to. I mean, let's
leave it at that. All right, we'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll look at what the major newspapers are saying today. Please stay.
But in a situation where you find that they must look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying. Time now to look at the dailies on Daybreak. We have our guest reviewer, Salmon Salami, Media Director, Justice Pen Alliance, with us in the studio to give perspectives to some of the stories here. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Iva, good morning. Thank you very much. Stella, good morning.
All right, so let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. The lead story here says, "We will eliminate all terrorists by December," says the federal government. The writer says, "Worst of insecurity is over. Counterinsurgency, not fair, not a fair fight." That's according to Defense Minister. "Economic reforms must support military offensive," says security experts. You also have above the, in fact, let me take below the masthead there, just beneath the masthead, you would see 11 schoolgirls of FGC Birnin Yauri are still in custody. This is 446 days after. And then also we have one student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, 419 days still in captivity. Now below that, death toll now 372 as flooding spreads to 33 states of the FCT. Police bust Ogun baby factory where men are hired to impregnate girls. You'd also find Kuje prison security breached despite 65 well-armed personnel deployed, says Minister. All of that, I believe, the Kuje update is coming out of the press briefing that we watched earlier. You also would see the pictorial showing you supporters of Kenyan President-elect William Ruto celebrate after Kenya's Supreme Court ruled to uphold Ruto's victory in Nairobi. That's yesterday. Buhari suspends new excise duty, telecoms tariff hike. Boko Haram runs short of food, weapons as floods take over enclaves. Lagos Commissioner resigns as building collapse, death toll hits 6. Amuso returns to winning ways, strikes gold in Berlin. These are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper. The Leadership newspaper has the lead story for the Leadership newspaper is a political story. It says PDP crisis, IU is going nowhere. Atiku's camp insists. The first writer says national chairman's removal will cause constitutional crisis in the party. Melai. Rivers people will decide who to support. Wike. South must produce PMB successor, says Omoagege Keyamo. And just on the right-hand side of that, we have Algon appeals to federal government states to recognize local governments as key actors. Liz Truss emerges third female UK Prime Minister. And beneath that, uneasy calm in Kenya as Supreme Court upholds Ruto's victory. And just above the lead story, insecurity, Nigeria is safe now. The worst is over, federal government. And above that, federal government bows to pressure, suspends proposed 5% tax on telecom services. And just above the masthead, we have speedy justice. Look, federal government launches database for suspected criminals. We also have the story here. Lassa fever, yellow fever kill 183. Cases hit 7,650 in 36 states and the FCT. These are the major stories on the Leadership newspaper.
And on Blueprint newspaper, quite a number of stories there. The lead story also touching on the security briefing that was held yesterday. It says, present security challenge Nigeria's greatest threat since civil war, says the federal government. The writer says, worst days over, terrorists on the run. Laments delayed justice, government's refusal to sign 3,150 inmates death sentence. You also find Birningwari Community Lord's military action urges extension to terrorist hideouts. And then you'd find also other stories there beside the pictorial, where it says Chevron, Shell, others to remit 341 billion naira to NNPCL by September. We will complete $3.2 billion Port Harcourt Maiduguri rail project, says Minister. Police arrest suspected baby factory operators in Ogun. And then you also have Lagos building collapse. Commissioner resigns. Death toll hits 5. Truss set to succeed Johnson as a British Prime Minister. You also have Kenya 2022. Supreme Court upholds VP Ruto's victory. FG suspends 5% duty on telecoms services. And then you also have DPO. Terrorists abduct 7 million naira ransom bearer. Threatened to kill officer. That's that for the Blueprint newspaper.
And on the Nation newspaper, the Nation also led with a political story. PDP crisis. I will crush my detractors, says Wike. And the first writer, he says, it's too late to break my ranks. The second writer, Atiku already sharing positions before poll, says Rivers governor. And also still on the security situation in the country, worst of insecurity is over, federal government tells Nigerians. The first writer says 3,407 insurgents surrendered, 96 arrested by troops. Abuja-Kaduna highway now safe, 66 terrorists killed. Anti-terror war to be intensified, 52 captives rescued. And just beneath that, federal government suspends 5% tax on telecom services. Also, right above the masthead, petrol scarcity looms as Ipman stops supply. How Tinubu's vision turned Lagos into mega city. And also the story here, collapsed building, Lagos commissioner resigns. These are the major stories on the Nation newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch this morning. It leads with the Muslim ticket story. It says, no agreement with Tinubu, Khan insists talks 12. And then you also have donation to Gurkha Center, not bribe, to pacify Christians, says Khan. Khan's conscience not for sale. Prophetic voice cannot be silenced, Christian body. PDP jittery over Tinubu's visit to Jonathan, according to the APC. Onanuga promises issue-based campaigns. You also have above the masthead, discos fail to utilize 1,936 megawatts amidst blackout, says the federal government. FG suspends 5% telecoms tax on calls and data. Flooding killed 372 persons in 8 months, according to NEMA. 11 state varsities shun ASU. FG threatens unions. You also have the pictorial there showing you scene of earthquake where over 40 people died and also destroyed homes in China. Fraud. EFCC arraigns Ogun Speaker, assembles 10 witnesses. And then you also have 4 more building collapse corpses recovered. Commissioner resigns. 5,307 kidnap robbery suspects arrested in 2 months. That's that for the Punch newspaper.
Also, let's take a look at This Day newspaper. This Day newspaper has a lead story that says, "You have till December to crush all terrorists, bandits. Buhari orders armed forces." The first writer says, federal government says security situation has improved nationwide. Intelligence agencies, others vow to contain terror financing. And then just beneath that, federal government bows to pressure, suspends 5% excise duty on telecommunication services. And above the lead story, we have Khan. Tinubu's presence at Kuka's birthday won't change opposition to same-faith ticket. The writer says APC, NWC to engage state party leaders on Muslim candidacy. And just above the masthead, we have this coming from the CBN. Bank's total asset grew by 22.07% to 65 trillion in June. These are the major stories on This Day for today.
All right, so let's get perspectives to some of these stories here. Like we told you, Salman Salami is our guest reviewer. He's the media director, Justice Pen Alliance. Thank you again for joining us on Daybreak.
Once again, thank you very much.
Yes, quite a number of issues on the front pages this morning, but the security issue stands out. Virtually in all the papers. It's leading in most of the papers that we saw, except for a few. And reassurance coming from the federal government is that terrorists will be eliminated by December. And we see this press briefing where virtually all the heads of security institutions that we have in the country were all there. So the one question that many will be asking is, what have we done differently to, give us the guarantee that yes, indeed, by December we'll be over with this?
Well, like I always say, hope is the rope we hold on to when we are in need, and it is good that the government is giving Nigerians the hope that by December all these things will be a thing of the past. But hope based on what? Is it just hope for telling us that, well, you will be safe? Or you have something on ground, or that you have re-strategized, or that you now have a clear understanding of what this insurgency is all about and a better way of handling it? Is it just mere hope?
That's a capital question also that we are all asking, because if you look at the updates, so for instance, if I may pick one of the stories also on the front page where the Minister of Interior talked about, Kuje prison security breached despite 65 well-armed personnel deployed, and he also went further to give a breakdown of the the personnel that consists, of this 65 well-armed personnel. But we didn't hear what happened to the 65 that were supposed to, be on duty and, ensure that the prison is defended. So in terms of, say, for instance, sanction, we didn't hear what then happens to the 65 well-armed personnel.
You see, security issues are issues that are not normally discussed in the open. And I want to believe that the government will give us the information we need and may not give all the information as to strategy.
But isn't the issue of reprimand or discipline very important to deterrent for further, occurrence in case of, those who are probably, wanting to join the force or the service and the rest of them? Isn't that important?
I will agree with you. I will always agree with people who know and who believe that impunity is the greatest problem we have in this country. There is no consequence. You do things, if you know that if you do wrong, you will be reprimanded, you will be caught. If you know that there will be consequence, chances are that you will think twice before you do things. Honestly, impunity reigns supreme in the country, and this is sad. This is sad. No consequence for dereliction of duty. It is sad, really sad for this country.
All right, all the security heads yesterday promised that by the end of December, we'll see an end to insecurity. And some experts that responded to that said that the growing inequality between the rich and the poor and the rising hunger in the land could impede these targets. What do you think about that?
Honestly, like I said the other time, that the key role of government is security and the protection of lives and property of the people. And again, there is no doubt that the gulf between the have and the have-nots is widening, really widening. And there is the need for the government not only to just pontificate or just reassure people that, well, by December, insecurity will be a thing of the past. Like Lai Mohammed will always say, they have been
decimated.
Decimated. That is a real word, decimation, decimated. And in any case, we don't need to be too optimistic because they have told us that there will be pockets of attacks. And if there are pockets of attacks, we should not bother. What amount to pockets of attack? And at what point in time do we say that, yes, the government has really, really, really decimated these people, and that what we are just seeing, they are just one-off thing. But then, like I always say, let's be hopeful.
Exactly the question that how do we measure pockets of attacks? How do we, at what point do we say, oh, okay, this is nothing to worry about, it's pocket of attack. So if one person is killed or 3 persons are killed, maybe, in a week, do we consider that as, something not to worry about, and all of that? So to what extent can we, how do we measure this?
Well, I think that the government needs to tell Nigerians exactly what they are doing or what they are about to do differently, if they can manage it anyway. But I still want to believe that it is still good that they are now talking to us. It is better for the government to talk to us and let us know precisely where we are on this issue of insecurity than to keep mute. But then it is better to underpromise and overdeliver than to overpromise and underdeliver.
But don't you think that for them to come out and say this, they may have something?
It's pretty difficult to trust the government now. given our antecedent. But even at that, we just have to.
So talking about trust, like how does the government reassure, or I'll say regain that trust that seemed to have been lost, from government? Government will always say things, but it's another for Nigerians to also, agree and receive what government is saying and all that.
Well,
so how can we regain that trust?
However, you see, you earn trust. You don't demand trust. Nigerians are seeing. If, for example, things change, it's very easy for us to know. Now they have told us that Kaduna, Abuja highway is now safe. You can travel even if you like by 1 a.m. But Nigerians won't do it. Why? Because they have not recovered from the experiences of the past. And unless and until we know that they are walking the talk, it will be pretty difficult. But like I said, it is still better to talk to Nigerians and tell Nigerians precisely where we are on this issue of insecurity.
All right, I'm taking you back to the earlier question. Some experts have said that as much as the government is working hard to secure the country, that on one other side, it should be working on the structural aspect of the country, which is the inflation, the economic situation of the country, so that it goes side by side, You
see, when people are hungry, chances are that they will take to crime. When things are not going well, chances are that people will take laws into their hands. And it needs not be said again that Nigerians are hungry and angry too. And where you have such things, chances are that crime will flourish. It is sad to say it. But of course, the basic needs must be met, whether we like it or not. There are certain things that must just be provided. If people have jobs and there is security, and of course, there is the hope that the future will be tomorrow will be better than today. I want to agree that crime, the incidence of crime, will go down.
All right. I think this story here, Buhari suspends new excise duty telecoms tariff hike. Some persons reacting to it on social media said that it should not even be suspended, that they should just forget about it. And they base it on the fact that the Minister of Telecommunications and Digital Economy, in his argument, he said that excise duty ordinarily should be on luxury goods like cigarettes and the rest of them, and that telecom service is not a luxury service. In fact, it helps. In his argument, he said it helps businesses. So, what do you think?
Well, in the normal run of things, I think that Nigerians should get a better deal. Talking about communication. But you discover that, like everything in Nigeria, it's a status thing. I doubt if they even believe that we are entitled to quality communication system. Because if you look at even what they charge, there are times that you will recharge and you will discover that you won't get value for your money. They will charge you, and yet you discover that you hardly make quality communication, yet you are charged. But thank God that Isa Pantami, the Minister for Digital Economy, saw reason and said that there wasn't any need for it in the first instance. The question should not be suspended. There is no need for it now. I doubt there is no need for it now.
All right, so I'm looking at the Blueprint newspaper, and quite interesting stories. And there's also another dimension to the security issue, which we didn't touch here, and I feel like it's important to touch that. So we are likely going back to the issue of security. One of the writers on the Blueprint newspaper says that there's a lamentation on delayed justice, government refusal to sign 3,150 inmates death sentence. That's also one of the objects. And yes, we've heard several stories about how the reluctance of some government officials to sign death warrants, and all that. And these judgments have been given, these people have been convicted, but for some reason they are there and are being fed with taxpayers' money. What's your reaction to this?
You see, the judicial system, our judicial system needs to be overhauled. People, I don't know whether you are aware that people do not seem to have confidence in the judiciary. And this is sad. Self-help, jungle justice. In fact, in the last few days, you will realize that people have taken laws into their hand. And this is not good enough, because anarchy is the answer, is the outcome of such a thing. But even then, when people don't have confidence in the judiciary, what do you expect?
But
Look
this
at
time around,
the issue of our domain.
But this time around, the judiciary has done its part. We have governors who don't want to sign the death warrants.
Well, you see, personally, even I, Salmon Salami, do not believe in this capital punishment. This is an issue for another day. I want to believe that emphasis should be on deterrent and rehabilitating criminals. Not necessarily, it's vengeance or vengeful way of thinking that he killed my mother, let us kill him too. He murdered my mother, let us send him to the goals.
But that would mean, we are talking about justice. So for the victims, of these people, that will mean justice for them.
What is the end of justice?
As long as that person is, is alive and breathing well, for them justice has not been served.
Ayuba, what is the end of justice? The finality of death itself makes death sentence unuseful and unhelpful. You see, when you punish somebody, why do you punish? You punish that person so that he will change and perhaps be useful later. But when you send somebody, when you kill somebody or you ask, okay, it's death sentence, you should pay the supreme price.
So are you saying that we should jettison this part of our law and have a rethink about it?
There is the need to have a rethink. I think let us interrogate this.
Including for those who have gone ahead to kill thousands of people in the name of
The question should not be they have killed thousands of people. The question should be, why do they kill thousands of people?
Well, some of them do not have any reason.
No, well, you see, there is no hard and fast rule about this. But the most important thing should be, let us know whys of issues done.
Is it enough to know why?
It is.
It is. How do we deter, further occurrence?
You see,
of the kind of killings that we see.
No, I'm not justifying killing. Let us get it right. I'm not justifying killing. I am not, in whatever form. But what we are saying is that we should be more interested in deterrence, deterring people from committing crime, than laying emphasis on, and if there is consequence.
What if all efforts have been done to deter people and then they still go ahead and commit this crime?
Well, if it becomes inevitable, perhaps, but honestly, as a person, I do not believe in capital punishment. I don't. But that is a personal view.
All right. Well, others will disagree with you because for justice to be served, for some, it means that those who are guilty of putting them in the situation they are in should face the capital punishment,
And
where the law, prescribes so, and where all the requirements have been fulfilled, according to the law and all that. So let's just leave it
an
there.
eye for an eye will make all of us blind.
Well, that's discussion for another day, like you said. Perhaps when we have another person who,
has a contrary
view, would, be able to balance this.
All right. Let's take a look at the story. Lagos commissioner resigns as building collapse death toll hits 6. Only at the weekend, there was a 7-story building collapsed in Lagos. And in November last year, a 21-story building collapsed in Lagos where about 44 persons died. Between then and now, they have had some building collapse incidents in Lagos as well. So, and then we see this commissioner resigning. We don't see this kind of thing often in Nigeria. What do you say?
I read it this morning and I told myself that perhaps there is hope at the end of the day. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Well, for the man to say that, I should pretend over this and this has happened, honestly, it only means that I have failed to some extent. Well, I think the attitude or what he has done is commendable. But that is not to say that that is not enough. That buildings are collapsing, especially in Lagos. We have had more of it in Lagos, no doubt about that. Means that there is something that they need to do. The engineers, they have to find a solution to this. And they have to make sure that quacks or quackery is not allowed in that profession because it has to do with life. Quite many people are still under the rubble as we speak. And this is not good enough. We can't continue like this. But that the man has resigned is a show of integrity.
But there are also, when he tendered his resignation, the governor accepted it, and he said that it's a prelude to some restructuring that was going to happen in the ministry. So some persons have said that maybe he heard about the restructuring and then he decided to, tender the letter before that happened. Maybe he was going to be affected by the restructuring.
So it may not really be about the building collapse after all.
Well, these are conjectures. What is sure and a fact is that he resigned. And let us work with facts that he resigned. He still has something positive.
But then only recently also there was a building collapse in Kano where when the executive secretary of SEMA went there, he didn't need any engineer to tell him that the materials used were substandard because you could even see them, even by just seeing the videos on the television. And in Abuja as well, not long ago, a building came down. Why do we keep having these incidents?
Well, we will continue to have it in as much as there's no consequence. There must be consequence. The current Council of Registered Engineers and the Nigerian Society of Engineers and all those involved in building should come together and say, no, we cannot continue like this. There is need for the regulatory body to do the right thing and please punish those who have been found to have compromised. Because we are talking of life. This involves life. And honestly, one life lost is as gruesome as many lost in the pogrom.
All right, so let's look at yet another disaster that has been on the front pages of recent, talking about floods. We understand that flooding have killed at least 372 persons in 8 months, according to NEMA. That's a very, very high figure. Yes, it looks like it has a global dimension. Floods virtually, across the country. It's almost like a daily experience now, and a lot of the blame, is on the issue of climate change and all of that. Are there things that we can do to also reduce the impact of this flooding here?
Of course, there are quite a lot of things we can do.
And whether or not we're actually taking them seriously.
There are quite a lot of things we can do. The fault is not in our stars. It's in ourselves. We all know that there are some areas that are prone to flooding. And we know the rainy season, the time for the rainy season. And we know what we ought to do. Do we really do all these things? Do we really do all these things?
So one of them is that NIMET usually will give, intelligence, or I would say information to members of the public, warning,
exactly.
that there could be, flooding here and there and all that. But sometimes that communication, do you think that there's some kind of breach? Because it doesn't look like it gets to the people that it needs to get to.
Well, yes, there is always room for improvement, and there is need for real communication, real and effective communication. But more than this, do we heed to what they have told us, that please, stop even the piling up of waste. Drainages are blocked. Even Abuja here. Blocked drainages. There are quite a lot of things that even we as citizens should do, which we don't do. Indiscriminate dumping of waste.
Apart
to
from
block
that,
the drainages.
Apart from that, there's always this issue of NIMET. Once they give the warning, they call on people who are living in flood-prone areas to relocate. And then some of those people have always raised concerns about not having anywhere else to go. What do you think government can do in that regard? Some persons have said that if government can come up with low-cost houses and all of that, maybe it can help. And then how many of that can come up? So do you think there's a way government can come in that regard?
Yes, there is a way. There is always a way. I am of the view that a dead man does not need a house anyway. If you are dead, you don't need any house. So what we should do is let us preserve life first. If there is need to relocate them and they don't want to leave, government know exactly what to do. But then, relocate. Relocate to where? Relocate to where?
Well, that's the question that we are also asking. That if we have such information, I mean, we have a lot of people in the IDPs already. So either ways, if you do not leave before the disaster happens, you are likely going to leave after the disaster happens. So
maybe not alive.
That's if you are alive.
And sometimes not even alive.
Exactly, sometimes not alive. So should we also consider maybe having some kind of temporary camps for some of these prone areas, flood-prone areas?
Don't you think we have enough camps? Must we add this to add to the number of camps we have? Government, it only means that government has not provided enough low-cost houses. And these are things that we think government should do. Affordable houses, not the Maitama kind of a thing. Not the Gusampe kind of a house.
What about planning, like urban planning? We've heard about how, urban expansion has also contributed to the issues that we are dealing with, how, people are building on waterways, and then, officials who are supposed to make sure that, these regulations are taken seriously, they look the other way, and while these things happen and all that.
Look at most sectors. I won't say that the government has failed. I won't use that word. But there is the need for the government to be alive to their responsibilities. Some of these things we are saying, they know it. Since when have we been talking about planning? Urban and regional planning, providing affordable houses to or for the people. For how long shall we be crying about all these things? These are things that we think that the government should have done or should be seen to be doing, and they are not doing it. And some of the things we are seeing, some of the criminalities we are seeing, they are consequences of our irresponsibility.
As a people, as a
As
whole.
a people.
All right then, that's the point for us to end the newspaper review this morning. Thank you so much for coming on Daybreak and sharing your perspectives with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Our guest reviewer has been Salmon Salami, Media Director, Justice Pen Alliance, giving us perspectives on the stories on the front pages of our newspapers this morning. With that, we'll take a short breather, and then when we return, top of the hour, we'll take a look at the headlines again. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a person look at the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
I have said that.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency. Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
All right, thank you for staying. You are watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. It's top of the hour. Let's take a look at the headlines again. 2023, Wike's camp will be carried along in campaign council, says PDP.
Federal government suspends 5% tax on calls data.
Fresh fuel scarcity looms in North as Ipman begins warning strike.
Now let's take a look at the details. In spite of the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, the party has promised that all its members will be carried along in the yet-to-be-announced 2023 Election Campaign Council. National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Ologunagba, said this in an interview with Daily Trust on Monday. He also asked Nigerians to be worried that the campaign council He also asked Nigerians not to be worried that the campaign council is not yet in place. The Independent National Electoral Commission has slated September 28, 2022 for the official commencement of campaigns for the elections. He said before the announcement of the campaign council, some things ought to be put in place. He also confirmed that the National Working Committee meeting will hold on Wednesday and NEC will hold on Thursday.
All right. The federal government has suspended the proposed excise duty on telecommunications services. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Pantami, announced this during the inaugural meeting of the Presidential Committee on Excise Duty for the Digital Economy sector. The program was held in Abuja on Monday. Pantami had kicked against the implementation of the tax, which he described as an overburden for the telecommunications sector. He had said that the National Assembly members were not consulted. Pantami said he personally rejected the policy and advised President Muhammadu Buhari against it in view of the effects it will have on the digital economy.
Now, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, in 9 northern states has embarked on 3 days withdrawal of services at depots as warning strike over non-payment of their bridging claims amounting to 70 billion naira. Addressing the press conference on Monday in Maiduguri, the spokesman for IPMAN in Borno State, Abdulkadir Mustafa, said the non-payment is inflicting untold hardship to their teaming members. Hence, we have resolved at our meeting held in Kano to withdraw our services at the depot for 3 days, he said. Mustafa threatened that failure of authorities to respond and pay all their unsettled claims will result in indefinite strike and shutting down of all filling stations. He appealed to the federal government to intervene by prevailing on NMDPRA to pay all outstanding claims to avert indefinite strike, which may affect fuel distribution across the region. The 9 states with the NMPC limited depots include Borno, Adamawa, Kano, Kaduna, Benue, Plateau, Gombe, Niger, and Sokoto.
Let's take a look at some packages. The incidence of teenage pregnancy has become high in the Nigerian society. In Benue State, like many communities in Nigeria, teenage pregnancy has become rampant with myriad of socio-economic consequences. Trust TV spoke with some of the victims off camera who lamented their predicaments and called the situation a dream killer.
The young girl said regrettably that when they fall pregnant, they are forced to drop out of school, which lowers their chances of finding any reasonable means of livelihood, where they will have to depend on other family members to survive. However, other women blame the situation on different reasons. They said lack of parental care, poverty, and inadequate sex education are among the causes of this unwanted trend.
There is nothing like sex education in their children's life. They don't teach them that as you are going out, please, this is how issue of sex is. They don't even care. They don't teach them. In fact, many parents are far from their children. They don't discuss. They are even shy of discussing issue of sex with their children.
I understand that parents have failed in this aspect because they feel that the children are too young to be educated in those aspects. They feel that you are instead spoiling the children or giving them knowledge that is above their age limit.
They said the implications of teenage pregnancy are quite grave, both for mother and child. The after effect of these consequences tell a great deal on the economy and society at large, adding that teen mothers suffer more from these implications.
And the consequences are that this will make these children drop out of school at an early stage because they tend to take care of the pregnancy and the childbirth. And during the process, most of these teenage children lost their lives during childbirth. Aside that, this also affects the children because they will not have the exposure or the materials they need to take care of these unwanted children they've gotten.
They called on parents, especially mothers, to do more in the upbringing of the children to minimize the cases of child motherhood.
Avoid this early child pregnancy. One, we need to, as parents, we need to ensure that our children are well taken care of.
We can be giving our children, most especially the girls, sex education. We need to talk to them concerning sex so that they will know the implication in order not to engage themselves in.
Experts believe preventing teenage pregnancy ought to be the collective effort of all stakeholders, including individuals, parents, communities, the media and government, where they called for age-appropriate sex education and access to modern contraception.
All right, now on to some political matters. Following the suspension of the chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Adamawa State, Ibrahim Bilal, over gross misconduct and anti-party activities, Samaila Tadawus has been sworn in to chair activities of the party in acting capacity. The State Executive Committee of the party said the refusal of the suspended chairman to appear before the committee proved he is guilty of the allegations against him. Salis Lawan has the details.
Before the suspension of the chairman, a two-week ultimatum was issued to him alongside the secretary of the party, Raymond Chidama, and state treasurer of the party, Yahya Manjilde, but he failed to respond to the allegations.
A vote of no confidence on the chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC Adamawa State, Alhaji Ibrahim Bilal, over gross misconduct. We, the undersigned members of the State Executive Committee of the All Progressive Congress, APC, in Adamawa State, have today, 5th of September 2022, passed a vote of no confidence on the chairman of Adamawa State Chapter of APC, Alhaji Ibrahim Bilal, over gross misconduct.
State Vice Chairman of the party, Samaila Tadawus, was later sworn to lead the party in acting capacity.
I, Tadawus, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the All Progressive Congress APC and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Speaking on whether the impeachment of the chairman could limit chances of the party in the 2023 general election, stakeholders have a contrary view.
And I believe they did the right thing because they suspended in order to make investigation. That's the main reason they suspend him. because there are some main allegations on him regarding to mismanagement of the party funds, and also involving himself in anti-party activities. So these are the things that will lead a party, more especially the anti-party activities. It's a constitutional issue whereby they may even sack you from the party. Affect anything. This is not the first time we are going to the election with acting chairman. In 2015, when we have a state chairman, Binta Masi, she became a candidate of the party as a senatorial candidate. We have acting chairman, who is the deputy chairman, that lead us to the campaign, and we come out victorious. So it's the same thing is happening. I think 2015 we're going to repeat itself, whereby the party chairman was suspended, the acting chairman, his deputy will take over. So I believe it's not new in the APC.
State Executive Committee of the party is still awaiting the Secretary of the party, Raymond Chidama, and the Treasurer, Yahya Hamad Julde, to respond to allegations labeled against them too, or face the same action handed to the suspended chair. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
And now, away from politics, we'll take a look at another story. Now, donkeys are a popular and cheap means of transportation in northern Nigeria's rural farming communities. But in recent times, the price of donkeys has shot up amid growing demand for the animals, which is now used as food, as buyers from southern Nigeria are transporting the animals home for consumption. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin, who visited Maigatari International Cattle Market in Jigawa State, reports that thousands are benefiting from donkey trade in the market. Take a look.
Many years back, donkeys are used to transport mostly agricultural produce from rural farming communities to the market in cities and towns across northern Nigeria. But that is changing, as cows are gradually replacing it because the animal is now consumed as food.
Here in Nigeria, we take it to the southern part of the country, where it's being consumed as food.
Its business is now booming here in Maigatari International Cattle Market, where over 40,000 people said to be directly or indirectly involved in the trade.
Those who are benefiting from this donkey trade here in Maigatari, Gumel and Jigawa State in general are more than 50,000 doing the business of donkey alone.
In Maigatari International Cattle Market, a big size of donkey now sells for 60,000 naira as against 20,000 naira some years back, while medium size attract as much as 30,000 naira as against old price of 10,000 naira, largely due to increase in the demand of the animals. Brought here from Niger Republic, Sudan, and some other African countries, an estimated 5,000 donkeys leave the Maigatari market to the south every day, effectively creating jobs and generating revenue for the locals.
Roughly, we do collect about 4 to 5 million monthly, and our chairman is using the money to run the local communities.
Despite growing agitation to legislate against the sale of these animals, traders believe that a more permanent approach to sustain their business is indeed needed, considering the number of people benefiting from the trade.
I am urging our lawmakers, whom we elected to represent us, to stop considering the issue of stopping our business. Instead, they should make a law by which we can breed more donkeys so that our business will grow further.
Although providing income for many, but expert believes that unless something is done, the last remaining donkeys population as animals may soon disappear across the country. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
Thank you, Idris, for that report. Now let's go to some security issues. The federal government on Monday assured Nigerians that the worst of the insecurity that has been plaguing the nation is over, as security agencies are now on the trail of terrorist elements on the run. Speaking at a joint news conference, frontline ministers in the security sector told journalists that substantial progress has been recorded in the last couple of days in restoring normalcy at various fronts across the country. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman brings us the report.
Setting the stage for the conference in what appears blowing the government trumpet, Minister of Information Lai Mohammed says security agencies have taken seriously the recent directives by President Muhammadu Buhari on the need to speak to the terrorists in the language they understand.
Some said the security challenges have overwhelmed the military, but the military has now demonstrated that no group of ragtag criminals can ever overwhelm them. Terrorists and bandits and co can run but cannot hide. And this has been demonstrated by the arrest of those who attacked the church in London. These criminals can run but cannot hide, as we have seen the decimation and neutralization of the cowards who ambushed the brigade of guards troops in Abuja.
And the result, according to the ministers, is assuring of the safety and security of Nigerians.
The strengths of operational successes recorded by the armed forces of Nigeria in the northeast have thus continued from January through August 2022. The exhalations of the troops of Operation Hard and K of research by well-meaning individuals as well as reputable internal and international bodies attest to the far-reaching military achievements recorded in the Northeast.
We took Niger from North Central State, where 40 suspects were arrested. They were arrested for kidnapping, banditry, and other criminalities. 500 cattle were also recovered. 71 handsets were recovered. On July 9th, 2022, police operatives from patrol around Bakaso area of Suleja arrested a Kojeka Solar Center SKP.
We shall continue to protect the lives and property of Nigerians and foreigners in our midst. We shall continue to work for the peace of the nation and deter elements that constitute threats to the people. We shall bear the full powers of the government to secure every inch of our land. We shall not rest until peace is fully restored to Nigeria.
But the recent move is coming on the heels of devastating attacks and killings, including displacements of thousands of Nigerians by insurgents, bandits, kidnappers, violent separatists, and other sundry criminals terrorizing the country and undermining its economic growth and stability. Shabir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now let's take reactions to this. Some residents in Abuja have expressed mixed feelings about the claims that the worst security challenge is over, calling on the government not to pay lip service to the issues. Take a look.
I'm not very comfortable talking to a stranger. Insecurity persists because government's hand is in the insecurity of this country. Government appears not to be serious, not to be serious about tackling the problem. So as it is now, security of this country is not in the hands of anybody, but in the hands of God only.
The insecurity is as if the personnel are not working. Let me just put it that way, as if they are not working. Really, if they really want to do the job, within 24 hours, everything that is happening within the country will be shut down.
Well, after standing here, that the environment for Abuja here, some places, there is insecurity. As for here, there is a security tight. About insecurity in this environment, we will not have problem much. But some other areas, there is a lot of problem in insecurity.
I'm not secured, like seriously, I'm not secured. I'm not secure. Even when you are sleeping in your house, anything can happen. If any good Nigerian should tell you this is a reality of something that we are seeing and we are hearing. Even the federal government themselves, they can vividly, boldly tell you that yes, themselves, they are not free from the mess that every citizen is passing through.
All right, we'll now take a short break. When we return, we'll go into our first discussion of the day. Please stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, thank you for staying. You're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. Going to our next discussion, the apprehension and fear that the 2022 primaries of the All Progressives Congress, APC, might suffer a plethora of setbacks in Taraba State have been confirmed as the exercise witnessed an avalanche of crisis, conflict, bickering, and bitterness. The state APC primaries was a difficult one because of the disagreement that ensued between the gubernatorial aspirants, numbering about 7, 3 senatorial positions, 6 National Assembly, and 24 State House of Assembly positions. The aspirants were some of the aspirants were Senator Emmanuel Bacha, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, Chief David Sabo Kente, and Professor Sani Yahaya, Barrister Aladi Kifasi, and then we have Senator Anthony Manzo and former Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Mamman. Now, the crisis is yet to be resolved. One of the aspirants that contested and the Chairman Senate Committee on Special Duties, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, joins us on Daybreak this morning to give us, an insight into what transpired in that primary. Senator, thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Yeah. Well, the last time you were on the program, you were quite optimistic and very confident about the reconciliation of grievances within your party, the APC, that was in the build-up to the party Congress, that held at the time. Now we are seeing the kind of things that followed the primary election in Taraba State. What's your account of what happened in Taraba as far as primaries are concerned?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning once again. Really what has happened was something that is very, very surprising, very shocking, to not just only me or the aspirants, also shocking to the people of Taraba State and in particular the APC, supporters. However, I will try to be very, very short because the matter is in court. I don't want to be, seen that, I'm talking, I'm violating some courts proceedings. However, the position simple. There was no primaries conducted, at least at the gubernatorial level, because I don't want to talk on the issue of the senators, House of Representatives and House of Assembly. But I aspired to be governor, and we prepared ourselves to go for primaries to be conducted by APC through the committee they have actually established. But no primaries was conducted at all. As things that came out later we saw that there was not even any declaration. It was at the airport that the committee, while answering questions from the reporters, said there was an election. Well, previous day they said there was no election. So that is what has happened, and it's a matter that is before the court, especially me. Some of the aspirants did not go to court because they feel that justice one way or the other will be done, and so for me, it is now in the umbrella or in the broom of APC, to decide whether to accept the caricature of primaries that they thought has been done in Taraba.
But there was an announcement by the chairman of that committee at the police headquarters in Taraba, where he declared Senator Emmanuel Boacha as the winner of that primary.
No, not at all.
Actually, as a follow-up to Ayuba,
yeah.
Indeed, the Lawrence Onuchukwu committee,
yeah.
Yes, at first, they said that there was no primaries. That was on a Thursday at the police headquarters.
Yeah.
But on a Friday, at the airport, they actually said a primaries held and that Emmanuel Boacha won.
Yeah.
In fact, they said the reason they made the earlier statement at the police headquarters was because that it was done under duress, that they were assaulted by certain persons, and that was why they could not say then. But now at the airport, they could say that a primaries held and Emmanuel Boacha won.
Well, thank you very much. Again, the matter is very simple. How can you be under duress in police headquarters? Does it make sense? Police, you are under the police custody, and you say you are under duress. It doesn't make sense at all. Probably he was under duress at the airport, where he did not even announce, he did not even declare. All what he said, he was answering a reporter's question on his way back to Abuja. So as far as we are concerned, there was no declaration whatsoever. Because everybody knows the process of declaring who a winner, once a winner has emerged. While he was answering those questions, were there INEC officials, were there security officials? There wasn't anything like that. So well, if the police that can answer this question was police, they want to indict police, but I don't think that is fair. You can't be under police roof and you say that you are working under duress.
But Senator, before the primaries, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Abimbola Shokoya, actually raised an alarm over insecurity in the state. In fact, the commissioner said that there were some thugs around a venue where the APC stakeholders were supposed to hold a meeting, and they were brandishing weapons. Were you aware of that situation?
Well, in politics, you will have your own crowds. These things will come, they will talk. Why was there a crowd? They are supporters, they are party supporters. And Taraba is such a sensitive place, very, very sensitive. He is talking about police headquarters and not the venue. Police headquarters was not the venue. So why he did announcement and say he was talking under duress, it was police headquarters. That's my argument. It's a simple logic. Even the Commissioner of Police will not want to indict himself to say that, yes, under our own custody, somebody was under duress to say A, B, C, D, E. That would be self-indictment. But I don't think, with due respect, the Commissioner of Police of Taraba State has actually, said, under his own roof, the chairman was under duress to make certain announcements.
You know, prior to the APC primary elections, there was apprehension about certain guidelines that were released by APC, where, you know, aspirants were expected to sign an undertaking, you know, to consent to decision of shadow poll or whatever that means in the party and all of that. Could it be that Senator Boacha is, you know, happens to emerge as a result of this decision or consensus or whatever arrangement, you know?
I wouldn't know specifically, but the little that I know of, you know, there is party constitution, there are party guidelines on how to conduct the primaries, and there's also the Electoral Act of 2022, you know, on how the party, you know, should go about conducting its own primaries. It is an internal affairs of the party. However, the law says INEC must supervise or must go there to monitor. Even police has been given a role now in 2022 Electoral Act to provide, you know, enough security for primaries to take place. But what I am saying, there was no primaries. There was no even invitation for INEC to go and conduct to go and monitor primaries. I think the invitation by the party was to go and have meeting with the stakeholders and not to go and monitor, because there are stages. After meeting with the stakeholders to monitor, you also need, you know, a specific mandate. Now that we are satisfied, this is the mode of primaries that is going to take place, so you are now invited to go and monitor. So whether the primaries, you know, was to be direct primaries, indirect primaries, they are all issues before the court, and it's not something that I want to go deep into, because I don't want to be seen.
Also, Senator, you mentioned direct and indirect. Yes, the chairman of the election committee to your state said that the Abuja National, the National APC, directed that they should use direct primaries. But some aspirants were not comfortable with that. Do you think that could have affected?
It's not comfortable. You see, whatever we are going to do, let us be honest, let us be sincere. You know, a lot of people are saying that politics is a dirty game. Politics is a very, very clean game. It is the people in politics that are dirty. And what is happening is that there was no directive from the headquarters of APC that direct election should be made. There was no directive to that effect. None whatsoever on the 25th, none on the 26th when the primaries were conducted. I can tell you there wasn't any, because directives comes from the party headquarters and not from the state headquarters. And all directives are written, because this is so critical. You cannot just sit down, take your phone and say, okay, go and do direct primaries. No, who will do that? Is it the chairman of the party, His Excellency Abdullahi Adamu, that will take his telephone and say, well, committee, go and do direct primaries, or the legal advisor, or the national organizing secretary? Who gave the directives? There wasn't.
So what's the involvement of the national secretariat or the national headquarters of the APC as far as this matter is concerned?
As far as this matter is concerned, you know, the national headquarters, you know, has actually written, you know, a letter on the 23rd, you know, about the mode of the mode of primaries that is going to be done to INEC. On the 25th, they wrote another letter again, excluding, not including Taraba as one of the states to conduct direct primaries. So there wasn't any counter letter until 30th, after primaries had taken place, that the headquarters has actually forgotten. It's inadvertent, you know, that it's a human error that they could not, you know, put Taraba as one of the states to do direct primaries. So, I mean, just take example, you know, I'm inviting you, you know, to come to a wedding of my daughter or wedding of my son, and the wedding is on Friday, and I gave you and you got the invitation on Sunday or Monday, and I will now hold you accountable that you didn't come to the wedding day. So I mean, there are all issues that I think lack of sincerity, lack of honesty, and I think we must stand up, to make sure that this politics we are going to do, we must be honest, we must be realistic, we must have integrity with all the skills. We have seen the integrity in President Muhammadu Buhari. In the next meeting, before the advent of the of APC now, he clearly stated how this thing should be done. That there should be honesty and dedication. There should not be impunity. There should not be imposition. It's very, very clear. NEC has taken that position. So, I mean...
So do you consider that perhaps there's some kind of attempt by the national body of your party to impose a candidate, a governorship candidate?
Well, I think there might be something like that, but that question should be put to the leadership of APC.
I mean, your suspicion. Well,
yes, that's my suspicion. I'm alleging that, certainly.
Senator, after the primaries or the no primaries, as it were, as you say, you and some persons wrote to the appeal committee. What happened?
Well, normally, it's a natural process. If you are not satisfied with the conduct of the primaries, whether it was done, not done, I mean, there's an appeal committee. So about 6 of us, wrote to the appeal committee, making our own complaints. So, and the appeal, returned their verdict, that certainly there was no primaries. So, and they presented their report to the national headquarters. So, up till today, we are waiting, for the national headquarters to give us a feedback. This primaries was alleged to have been done, on the 26th of May. June, July, August, we're in September now. And despite the fact that, the aspirants, are formidable people with due respect, I mean, I'm a senator of the Federal Republic, 2-time senator under APC in Taraba, former minister of power, Saleh Mamman, the former, head of service of the Federation, our former ambassador to Israel, and Chief David Kente, who contested for governorship, twice in Taraba State, and even commissioner in Northeast Development Commission, and even Professor Yaya. But Professor Yaya has left, actually, he has joined NNPP. So, I mean, these are not names that you can just ignore in Taraba, with due respect. There are no names you can ignore.
So, with all of this happening now, it's certainly a huge risk on the part of APC, because as it stands, the APC stands at risk of losing out in the governorship race in Taraba State. Within now and the time, INEC is, scheduled to release the final list of all the candidates. What are the chances of your party in, sorting things out?
Well, it's something like that. However, I think it is within the ambit of the party to do the right thing and then salvage the situation. Taraba, up till today, is an APC state. It may be PDP government, but it is an APC state.
Senator, since 1999, PDP has governed Taraba State. So, what do you mean when you say what do you mean when you say it's an APC state?
Well, the preponderance, of the people there sympathize with APC. Even though, the government, how elections happen, what they have been done in the past, I mean, twice I've been senator under APC. Yes, senator in the south is from PDP, senator in the north is from PDP, but that does not, with what happened 2015, we all know Mama Taraba won the election, but we lost it at the court. In 2019, APC actually won, but we lost it at the court too. So it is the preponderance of the people of Taraba APC. I have no doubt in my mind. Fair, clean election, APC is going to win, even today.
Yeah, go ahead.
Senator, before you went to court, did you exhaust all the internal mechanisms available within the APC to sort out your grievances?
Well, you see, once an incident has happened, there's a time limit for which that you have to go to court. However, that time has been, has been obeyed, and then a lot of internal mechanism has taken place. 4 or 5 letters, have been written to the party secretariat. About 8 meetings have taken place, and there is no feedback from the party to tell us. I mean, you cannot just keep us in abeyance and then keep us and thinking that, these guys are stupid, they are foolish people, we don't recognize them, we don't honor them, let them go to hell, because that is our understanding. The party should give us our own due respect, meet with us, tell us formally, not that, things will be happening, and then keep us at abeyance. I mean, that should not be the case.
I'm just wondering, what are the options of the APC in Taraba State at the moment?
Very slim, if the way things are going. But by the grace of God, if things will change, I'm not saying that it has to be Yusuf. Let fairness dictate the process. We all know there was no primaries. Let there be primaries. Under Section 36 of the Electoral Act, still there is room for the party to conduct another primaries if it so wishes and wants to be fair and honest. It's very, very clear.
But, I mean, isn't it binding on you to support whoever emerges as the candidate of your party, looking at the undertaking that you have signed before the primaries?
I will always surrender to a free, fair, and credible primaries. Whoever wins, I have no problem. But there was no primaries. There were primaries in other states. Why shouldn't I respect if there was primaries? There wasn't.
But this seems to be the decision of the national headquarters
well,
of your party.
That is what I'm saying. There was no primaries. The party headquarters decided that there was primaries. So the only option left to us is to go to court. After we have exhausted, I mean, we saw the chairman of the party. After we have written, we saw the deputy national chairman North. We had meeting with him, with national organizing secretary, with director legal, with deputy woman leader. The 6 aspirants, the 5 aspirants individually. We had meetings. We have written, letters, and there was no feedback.
Senator, at the last weekend, Senator Bwacha, who at the moment is the candidate of your party, held a press conference in Taraba where he called on all aggrieved persons to work together so that the APC can actually win that state, considering that the PDP has always been in power in the state. Now, with this crisis happening, wouldn't that affect the chances of the APC?
Yes, there's a likelihood it will affect, but let us do the right thing. And it is not too late to do the right thing. That's my position. It's not too late. Who are those aggrieved? So if you do not do the right thing, I become aggrieved? Where? I want to see. Let them put it on television for Nigerians to see that this is why they did the declaration. This is how they did the primaries. Let us see. I will surrender. But there wasn't.
One of the aspirants have since, defected from your party and is now the flag bearer of the NNPP in Taraba State. What would you do if INEC, for instance, upholds the position of the national headquarters of the APC?
Well, we are in court, and that is the last thing we are going to resort to, and It depends on the verdict of the court.
And if the court goes in favor of, Senator Bwacha?
There are processes that will follow. Certainly, if you are not satisfied with the position of the court, you go to the higher court.
So let's talk about 2023 and the APC. A lot of controversies, have trailed the decision of the flag bearer of your party to pick someone of same faith, let me put it that way, as running mate. And that has caused a lot of, reactions across the country. How will Taraba, come in the midst of all of this, with the crisis within the APC in Taraba State? Can your flag bearer actually count on Taraba to actually bring in the votes?
Yes and no. Muslim ticket is not the first time they are doing Muslim ticket. With due respect, I'm not setting aside the Christians of this country. They're a formidable force to be reckoned with. However, when it comes to party politics, you look at not just representation, you look at also how will you win your election. I respect the Christians, they're a formidable force, and I think, they should be given, enough room to participate, in the politics of this country. But just by taking Muslim ticket, I don't think the intention is to push aside or to make, or to marginalize the Christians. I don't think so. In Taraba, since the advent of Taraba up till today, the substantive governors have been Christians. But we have voted for them.
But was it a Christian ticket?
Well, even if it wasn't a Christian ticket, what we are saying that, as far as Taraba is concerned, we had all governors, substantive governors as Christians.
What's your take on the proposition by your fellow senator, Smart Adeyemi, who is proposing that we should, there's a bill that he is proposing that this should be legislated upon?
With due respect, I don't think, I will support that bill for the simple reason. Now, supposing after the bill is passed and one decides to convert to the other religion, what happens? What do you do? So for us, I think these are not supposed to be legal measures to be taken. They are not supposed to be legal measures. They are supposed to be political, discussions, political acceptance, trading horses. It's all matter of interest. Who said where you have Muslim ticket, the interests of the Christians will be trampled on? Let us have this psychology out of our minds or out of our heads and now come to believe the whole problem is problem of justice or injustice.
All right, talking about justice or injustice and inclusivity. In Taraba State, Senator, Governor Dambaba Suntai was from Taraba Central. The current governor, Dairo Ishaku, is from Taraba South. Senator Bwacha is from Taraba South. You are from Taraba Central. And some people in Taraba State are saying that at this point, power should be moving to the north.
Well, for Taraba, North had about 9 years, under my brother, Governor Jolly Nyame, had about 9 years. Central has 6 years under Dambaba Suntai. South has 8 years now. So we are saying that for effectiveness, even at the national level, why was there so hue and cry that it must shift to the south? So we believe that, for fairness, for justice, for inclusiveness, I think, with due respect, it should come to Central. Not because I'm from Central. It can be anybody. But what we are saying that, let us try to balance it. Let us bring everybody on board, I think with due respect, even the governor, it's been speculated that he's not supportive of a gubernatorial candidate, or even his party coming from the south. Whether it is true or not, I wouldn't say at this point in time, but it's being speculated to be so. So, I mean, it is all matter of all of us come together to bake the cake for the development of Taraba State. Make it peaceful, make it, accommodating. For me, when I have political difference with someone, that does not mean that I will have social differences with the others. For me, politics is different. Socializing is different. So I think, just like what you said, we should respect, inclusiveness. We should respect, participating, representation. So, but in politics, sometimes, it depends on how you want to win. If by 2023, I'm coming, sir.
Yes.
If by 2023, APC couldn't win, there's what they call political IDP, political internally displaced persons. And nobody wants to be a politically displaced person. So it is political. That is why I don't want to look at a sensitivity of religion. It is political.
Senator, there are those who have argued that, it is politicians that are guilty of using some of these considerations, depending on whether or not it favors them or not. So some of these preferences are picked and are used when it favors, and when it doesn't, somehow politicians, find a way around, around them and all that. So what would you say to this group of people where they feel that you are selecting what favors you?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, in Nigeria today, every politician, should be a Nigerian. Not only politician, every Nigerian should be a Nigerian. By the grace of God, I'm Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm not a Fulani senator. Neither will I be a Muslim senator. I'm a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I will protect the interests of my religion. I will protect the interests of Hausa. I will protect the interests of Igbo. I will protect the interests of Fulani.
But in talking about fairness and inclusiveness, you mentioned your zone, the Taraba Central, as, should be given a fair, chance to also, take part in this and all that. So isn't that a consideration based on, your tribesmen, so to say?
No, it is not tribesmen. Taraba Central is not just Fulanis or Hausas that are there. Taraba Central, even has Igbos, Yorubas. They have, what do you call him? They have Chamba, they have Jukuns, they have all, they have thieves, they have all of those. So the consideration is looking at representation. We also want to be felt to be part and parcel, to play our quota. Sometimes, I feel reluctant to begin to talk about these issues of exclusiveness as a result of, because someone will now be saying, okay, he has no merit, because that is why he's talking about it has to be this. No, that is not the case. The case is simple. Let us have a feeling, we two coming all over together and bake, the cake for the development of, Taraba State. So for me, I think that is how it should be. We should negotiate, we should trade horses, we should sit down and laugh and do what is right, for the state.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, Chairman, Senate Committee on Special Duties, and also you are the Senator representing Taraba Central. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak and sharing, giving us insight as to what's happening in the politics in Taraba State.
Thank you very much for having me. And You are doing great.
Thank you.
And we look forward to further engagements when times permit.
All right, thank you so much. Well, viewers, we've come to the end of Daybreak for today. Unfortunately, I would say, for those who have missed, you can always catch up on all our social media platforms. And also, don't forget, you can watch us live on YouTube where you are not in front of your TV screen. My name is Ayuba Ilya.
Thank you for welcoming us into your homes this morning. Do well to join us same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Stella Yaji. Do have a pleasant day.